you fill up my lungs. And if my mind worked backwards just for a minute, I'd hold on to you before the memory's gone. I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember how we felt alive. I remember you, you make me stronger. Can't go without it much longer. Remember, remember, I remember you, you lift my spirit. With you high is all I'm feeling. Remember.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 144 of The China Show. We've got a very interesting one for you today. And, well, specifically because C-Milk over here lost his voice.
I have a cold.
No, but quite seriously, he did lose his voice. He was coughing all week and then couldn't speak.
That's absolutely true. I'm not actually, it's not a gag. Hopefully you can hear that.
It's pretty peaceful and quiet in the office these days, I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
The loud American has been silenced.
But don't worry, he's still here for the show.
Hi there, guys. I am Smelk from America. I lost my voice yesterday, so I will be communicating through a text-to-speech program. Unfortunately, we could not afford an American program, so I will have an accent that resembles Richard from England. I hope it's up to your his standards of quality.
Okay, but yeah, all jokes aside, he'll still be joining us by being here, and he can respond with his, Stephen Hawking's text-to-speech kind of thing going on over there. So anyway, let's just saunter right into it, guys. We're going to go into what's new, and this is where we talk about what's new with regards to China. And the first thing we're going to talk about is this manufactured outrage over the Lunar New Year. Now, I don't know about you, C-Milk, but I've always called it the Chinese New Year. Yeah? But it doesn't matter. You too? Yeah? Okay, good. You gotta learn those like sign language things. I really don't know how that works. You know, in South Africa, they had this big presidential speech, by the way, once. And they always have sign language. Like, they hire somebody to do sign language. And I don't know if it was nepotism or what, but they hired somebody who couldn't do sign language for that job. So he stood there and just made stuff up for the entire speech, like an official government speech. And at the end, like, deaf people were like, what the hell was that all about? And got called out. It's kind of funny. Anyway, the Lunar New Year is the Chinese New Year, but it's not only celebrated by China, it's celebrated by different Asian cultures. Maybe you can tell us a couple of them. Okay, I've got to wait for him to type. Don't worry, we'll speed this process up. But I know Vietnam, for one. I mean, when I was in Vietnam, and when we were in Vietnam last time, we could see all the celebrations and the all the same decorations that you see for Chinese New Year are sold in Vietnam. It's exactly the same stuff, the same kind of lanterns and couplets and all that sort of thing. I believe Korea as well. You gonna say something here? Okay. Well, all over Asia, really. So it's not a uniquely Chinese thing.
Vietnam, South Korea, many Asian countries celebrate Chinese New Year, so it's not just China.
Yeah, of course. Anyway, so Lunar New Year is kind of a way to lump them all together. It's not uniquely Chinese is what we're trying to say. But of course, when it's marketed as Lunar New Year, we're getting a lot of Chinese people getting upset that it's not being called Chinese New Year. All right? So it's a tough position for a lot of international companies to be in, I suppose. Like, I know Disney copped a lot of flack for it because they put out Lunar New Year celebrations. And of course, anyone who's from any other country would be like, that's great. It's inclusive, includes us too. But China's like, no, it must be Chinese New Year. And they've kind of been going on this thing, spreading it around the internet. People been getting angry about this. And here's one of the results of this, okay? Somebody posted to Weibo, help, okay? This is the post, and it's been translated by the Great Translation Movement. And they said, help. I'm currently in a police station of New York. I saw this Lunar New Year poster in a mall. I was so angry and tore it off. Then the police came and said what I did was wrong. They even brought me to the New York Police Department, I guess down to the police station. I'm not wrong. What should I do now? Okay? So...
The thing is, China doesn't even call it Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
In official Chinese state media, they also call it Lunar New Year.
Yeah, and I mean, that's...
The hypocrisy.
Okay. So if you didn't get that, the truth of the matter is that even Chinese state media call it the Lunar New Year. Okay, it can also be called the Spring Festival. In fact, I probably call it the Spring Festival more than Chinese New Year myself. So Spring Festival, Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, all of these apply. It means the same event. So here we have the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in the United States of America. This is an official press release from them, and it says, Lunar New Year message from, Wang Yi, State Counselor and Minister of Foreign Affairs for the People's Republic of China. So the fact of the matter is China, the official Chinese government itself calls it Lunar New Year from time to time. They can call it whatever they want. But just to see, it's not something that's a controversy. It's not something that's going against people's culture or anything like that. It's what the Chinese government itself says, right? So anyway, because of this manufactured outrage, you get these instances where you get nationalist people going around defacing signs, tearing down signs, and doing that kind of nonsense, which is what you'd expect. Anyway, are we done with this topic?
Call it whatever you want, блядь.
Yes, call it whatever you want. All right, cool. Let's move on from this topic. Yes, we've got a surprise for you guys. Remember Lianhua Qingwen? Last week we showed you Jeff, who had a cold, and
I have a cold.
yeah, I mean, he sounds exactly like you, basically. But Jeff, who has a cold, we're going to get back into that. But first...
Somehow, I now related to Jeff.
Yes, you are right.
I also have a cold.
Yes.
However, one thing that I can be thankful for is that my dead ass ghost wife isn't trying to feed me green pills.
That's right, your ghost wife's not trying to feed you green pills. Yeah. Anyway, so we thought we'd show you another episode or another advert from Lianhua Qingwen, which also is quite fantastic. We'll play it through without commentary first, and then we'll stop and we'll talk about it. Okay, so let's just begin from here. Let me get us out of here. Okay.
Seven members of the GOP Doctors Caucus say the U.S. is missing an opportunity to save lives when it comes to vaccine strategy.
You've been through tough times.
Sorry, I got cold.
Hey, take this.
Take it easy. I just got cold.
Just working out.
Okay, so this is kind of ridiculous. And I guess for those of you who are maybe listening and not watching, what you've got is a scene, because you have to describe the scene. It's a scene of some people working out in a little gym, okay? So you've got a young lady working out here. She's...
Caucus say the U.S. is missing an opportunity to save lives when it
By the way, there's a radio broadcast in the background that's saying the U.S. is missing an opportunity to save lives because of its bad vaccine... what something or other.
comes to vaccine strategy.
Yeah, because of its bad vaccine strategy. So this is what people do when Chinese medicine's involved, okay? A Chinese big pharmaceutical company. They sit and listen to the radio saying that the US is screwing up and killing lives and destroying lives because of a bad vaccine strategy. That's what you do in the gym. It's great workout stuff, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, bad vaccine strategy. Let's really pump that iron, you know? Anyway, so she finishes working out with her little dumbbells, you know, those little chicky dumbbells, and then... oh no, she coughed. All right, don't worry. One of these dudes is... first of all, one of them's like, I'm out of here. Look. See, this guy just gets up. He's like, get away from me, disease.
Sorry, I got cold.
So she says, sorry, I get cold. Okay.
Hey, take this.
Yeah, very concerned guys. Like, hey, take this. Throws her a box of Lianhua Qingwen capsules.
Take it easy. I just got cold.
What? I don't get that part. Take it easy. I just get cold.
Forget this. I am going to pay for an American program. Hold on.
Okay. All right. Hopefully we don't need to listen to your bad accent. All right.
I really don't understand what they are trying to say here. Like, she's saying that it's not a big deal, because she just has a cold. But his reply is that he is just working out.
Oh, yeah, yeah, exactly.
I don't get it. I love how out of touch these commercials are.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. She says, you know, I just get cold. Take it easy. So does that mean that this medicine's overkill? I don't need it. It's only a cold. Is that what she's trying to say? But then his reply, and I swear this isn't edited. This is exactly out of the box how it is.
Just working out.
Take it easy. I just get cold. Just working out. What does this mean? Like, seriously.
She's basically saying EFF off I don't need shit drugs.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's just weird and out of touch once again. And then they sit down together. I guess he threw her the box of Lianhua Qingwen. She's like looking around, take it easy. And then?
But he's like, I have no idea what she's saying, so I will tell her what I am doing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so he gets up, obviously, from working out and goes and sits next to her, takes back the box of Lianhua Qingwen and starts looking at it while she stares at it with him as well. So, what? One more thing? Okay.
Both sides of the box are the same when she flips it over to read it.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, it really is true. Keep moving. Someone is always with you. Again, very weird adverts, and they're very out of touch, and they don't seem to really know who they're targeting or what, because I don't think healthy people that are working out in gyms are going to be taking Lianhua Qingwen. You know what I mean?
What happened to taking care of your breath?
Yeah, what happened to that? Well, I'm sure we'll see that again. Anyway, I think just one last time, unmolested, I'm going to play this for you so you can see it for yourself. And then we'll move on.
GOP Doctors Caucus say the U.S. is missing an opportunity to save lives when it comes to vaccine strategy.
Sorry, I got cold.
Hey, take this.
Take it easy. I just got cold.
Just working out.
Take it easy. I don't want your bullshit heart attack inducing green nightmare pills.
I guess so. So, I mean, remember last week we showed you Jeff. Now, someone on the subreddit and the Discord decided to put together a little, their own version of Jeff. Let's put it that way. Shall we play it for everyone? All right, let's take a look. In for a treat.
Jeff, take the pills, Jeff. You have a cold.
Jeff, you have a cold.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I love it. I love it. You know, after the last episode, I got to be honest, we were sitting down and we were trying to figure out the whole Jeff, you've got a cold thing. And I think we did figure it out because if you look at it, his wife is supposed to be dead if you've seen the original commercial, right? And he's kind of remembering how she used to take care of him. This is what I guess, right? Used to take care of him by giving him medicine when he has a cold. So he takes the medicine, you know, remembering her. But then it shows her ghost staring at him with a smile, okay? And it's creepy. So we figured it out. She committed suicide by using these pills, right? And now she wants him to join her, and she's forcing him. She's like haunting him and like, take the pills, Jeff, take the pills. And if you watch, she sits there smiling at him like, yes, take the pills. You'll join me soon. You know, it's kind of creepy.
I love the funeral shrine at the end.
Yeah. It's like a horror movie.
Jeff, you have a cold.
I have a cold.
Lianhua Qingwen. Yeah, exactly. For developing minds, that's even better.
How?
What?
Sure. I have a cold.
Now I'm here today to tell you about Lianhua Qingwen capsules.
Anyway. All right, so this is kind of important. I guess we were sent this. I'll read it for you. It says, just saw your video. While ephedra was banned from the U.S. dietary supplement in a 2004 FDA ruling, there is a specific exception carved out for the TCM category, and that is why this product is legal to be imported into the USA. But because it is not considered a drug product, it is heavily restricted on what health claims they are legally allowed to make, hence that warning letter. This is how all medications are primarily regulated by the FDA. They control the labeling with the health claims that manufacturers are allowed to print on their product. Okay, just to kind of bring you all up to spec on the legality surrounding Lianhua Qingwen capsules. Anyway, is it time for us to move on from this nonsense medicine that does very little to nothing? Good. All right. So another fantastic thing that came out of our subreddit, again, is a birthday card that you can send to your friends if they're fans of the show. It says, hope your day was...
Wow, so good.
And that you have a...
Great.
time. Kind of cool. I like it.
Russia and China partners for life. ZZZZZ.
Change your software there, please, if you don't mind.
Sorry, Russian TDS Milk took over.
Okay, good. This is a fantastic picture of Chairman Mao taking a swim. Why is that even in this pack? Okay, all right, moving on. Yeah. Oh, you have something to say about that? Okay. All right.
I was working on a Mao video, and I put it in the media pack by accident.
Well, that explains that anyway. All right, so again, we have the Global Times putting out opinions. If Japan continues to act as a pawn of the U.S. in the Asia-Pacific region to stir up trouble here, Japan must be wary of becoming a victim itself of the U.S. or even the Ukraine of East Asia. Look, these are just crazy takes by China. That's official Chinese state media, by the way. And I like the fact that someone put something in there as my sources that I made it the F up. Yeah. If you want to see some hilarity and some hypocrisy, just keep an eye on the Chinese state media. You'll be blown away. But I guess we do that for you. Oh, I can't wait for you to see this. Yeah, it's taking forever.
Ukraine of Asia.
Okay.
You mean Russia of Russia?
Okay, I could barely make that out. This is... Oh. Ukraine of Asia? You mean Russia of Russia? Okay, all right, fine. Go away with your Russian bot over there. Let's get back to the normal sea milk, shall we? Okay. So, guys, this next clip we're going to show you is quite hilarious, and we're going to explain this phenomenon. So, for those of you listening at home, what you've got here is you've got a Chinese gentleman, and he's currently surrounded by what looks like a bunch of shady characters that might be trying to do him harm. Yeah, they're like saying, "Give me money, give me money." Anyway, I'll play the clip and you can see for yourself.
不让开这里的所有后果，你们自己承担，不下承担后果，就给我I'm a Chinese, China, passport.
Okay, so you got a bunch. Where do you think this is set, by the way? Maybe Cuba or something. It looks like it could be Cuba. It's hard to tell. But the guy's basically being mobbed by these. Could be Dominican Republic. Well, either way, he's being surrounded by a bunch of characters who are kind of looks like they're trying to rough him up and extort him for money, right? So he then whips out his Chinese passport. And everyone suddenly becomes incredibly afraid of the guy. And he's like, oh no, oh shit, he's Chinese. We better not mess with him. Okay? Okay, what are you going to say?
This ridiculous display of bravado has an explanation. You guys remember Wolf Warrior?
Yep.
Well, the main actor, Wu Jing, did this ridiculous interview that went viral and has now inspired nationalists around China to put on their own fake displays in different countries. The idea is to show how strong China is now, because everyone is scared of a Chinese passport.
Yeah, so let's take a look at this cringe again.
I'm a Chinese, China, passport.
China passbook. You couldn't even get that right. It's a passport, my friend. Anyway. You know, before we even get onto this interview, I find that the hilarious part of that is they were like, in the skit, they were bugging him for money. Well, they definitely got money from him because he definitely paid them to do that. So you know what? They win anyway. The bad guy, so-called. Anyway, I'll clean us out of here. Okay, you translated this earlier. So you guys can... I know some of you are listening, so we'll read it out for you later. But for everyone else, we'll just play it out once. Let's do it.
中国脸，一本中国护照就是通往最安全地区的通行证，这叫什么？这叫中国人牛逼。曾经看不起我们那些西方国家那些人呢，对不起，后面等着，没你份儿，中国人优先。
Okay, so let's go back. We'll go through this. So this guy Wu Jing, he's like, what would you call him? Like he's the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone of China mixed into one, right? He's their action star. So he's in all. He's the Wolf Warrior guy. He was in that what's that? The Wandering Earth and all their big blockbusters. Anything patriotic. That what was that? The Battle of Lake something or other in Chungjing Lake in Korea that was massive. He's in all these movies, so he's like the Rambo of China, right? So he did this interview, and let's see, it says, he said, with a Chinese face and a Chinese passport, it's the passport to the safest place. It means that Chinese people are badass. It says they used to look down on us. Now, don't forget that in Chinese education, everybody's taught about the centuries of humiliation and how the Western powers always look down on China and all this nonsense. And that's what they learn. So they have this terrible inferiority complex, a lot of people, growing up, because they're taught that they were always beaten down and, looked down upon, which is not correct. That's not the right way to teach people. You teach people that they are strong and the people that they are. You don't teach them that, you're historically always looked down on. That's not correct. I don't look down on Chinese people, and I'm pretty sure most people don't. They just think everybody does. Anyway, let's carry on. He says, like those people in those Western countries, they used to look down on us, you see. He's now saying, sorry, and he dismisses them. You guys wait in the back. There's nothing for you. Chinese first. Chinese are first. So, yeah. Yeah, you didn't put that song in there? No, not at all, not at all. Anyway, so as you can see, that's the whole point, is that this guy, the Rambo of China, put this thing out about the Chinese passport is the safest, you know, and it shows you that the motherland stands behind you, which we'll have to show this next bit is important. Remember that this movie was a response. In your last video, you spoke about it. This was actually a response like a year after the Sudan incident where all the Chinese UN peacekeepers ran away. Yeah, so there was this horrible situation in Sudan where the UN sent peacekeepers there because there were some, you know, terrible things happening. And they sent Chinese peacekeepers to look after certain people. But of course, when they were attacked and several people were raped, you know, that they were supposed to be looking after and protecting, the Chinese peacekeepers actually ran away. They abandoned their posts and ran, which is deeply embarrassing for China because it's probably one of the first time they were ever given that responsibility. Yeah, armed, you know, so we're talking, yeah, their first time as like an armed peacekeeping force, and they ran away like cowards while people were raped and so on. So a year later, they make Wolf Warrior 2, which is set in some unnamed African country, which is Sudan, basically. But now they're the heroes that, you know, protect everyone and, you know, do all this kind of heroic crap, which is just kind of like the CCP to do something like that. Say you're strong when you're weak, you know, that type of thing. Anyway. Such a jam. So now, yeah, this what we're showing you here is the viral WeChat post that's been going on, which is the whole, his interview, and then it's followed up by a picture of the Chinese passport, and it's written there, "Citizens of the People's Republic of China, when you encounter danger overseas, don't give up. Please remember that behind you, there is a strong motherland."
Honestly, it's dangerous. You shouldn't tell people to basically cause shit abroad, and then just flash your passport to get out of it. I'm sorry, but China is one of the last countries that is going to come to your aid abroad. Remember what happened in Ukraine?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to bring that up. They tried this. In fact, when the fighting first broke out, when the invasion first started in Ukraine, Chinese people online were cheering on the Russians and, you know, really being incredibly insulting to Ukrainians, but at the same time telling the people in China to hang up the Chinese flag on your, in fact, it was the Chinese government was telling people, hang up the Chinese flag on your balcony or wherever you are and it will protect you. But it actually caused them to become targets because of all the disgusting rhetoric that the Chinese netizens were spreading online about how, you know, they were happy that Ukraine was being attacked. They were happy. They were supporting Russia and that Ukrainians sucked and all that stuff. Because they put that up there, Ukrainians were like, well, screw you. And there they are identifying themselves as Chinese. It's a bad situation. I still think that hiding behind your passport or nationality is a cowardly thing anyway. It's kind of a rubbish thing to do. Be a good person and people, you know, that's how you should earn respect, is because of you, not your country, you know? Anyway, it's kind of a silly thing. You got something to type there?
At least if you are going to hide behind your passport, make sure it's a country that will protect you.
I mean, that's true. It's very true because China, they didn't. Like with the whole Ukraine thing, it was proven. The Chinese embassies did not help the people. The Taiwanese embassy bust everyone out there, remember? Americans all got out. It doesn't matter, you know, when you've got a government that cares about you and looks after you, but in China, they expected the people to get themselves out, remember?
China doesn't give a shit about its citizens. They hunt them abroad for having an opinion.
I mean, that's very true too. So yeah, this is just a stupid thing. Cool. So I guess that's everything that's in What's New, right? Okay, so we're going to move directly into Soft Power Hour, guys. This is our main segment where we tell you how the Chinese government's trying to change your mind through various ways. And of course, you saw the thumbnail and the title of this video. We're going to be talking about the demographics in China for a minute here. Now, For the longest time, we've all been told that China has 1.4 billion people, largest population in the world, and it turns out that this has probably not been true this whole time. Okay? And by the way, India now has overtaken China's population in size. And this is important. We'll talk about it in a minute, why it's important. But just to show you that it's now being reported in the news and Reuters and Bloomberg and so on, there's a population comparison. Now, listen, anyone who's been to China would say absolutely China has the largest population. You would think so. I mean, look at this footage that I took. This is the 2017 Chinese New Year, well, they call these flower markets, and you go to these so-called flower markets when it's Chinese New Year, around Chinese New Year, especially down south. And the whole thing is to go and buy these kind of lucky flowers and lucky plants that bring luck. You know, they got those weird looking, whatever you call them. What are those, like pear looking things? You know, they're like weird looking things. You know what I'm talking about, right? It's like yellow. Kind of looks like a pear, but like with octopus legs on it almost. Is it a Buddha's hand? Oh, it's a lemon. Okay, whatever. They sell those. They sell those little orange trees that you're not supposed to eat the oranges. Yeah, they suck, but you're not supposed to, though. It's bad luck to eat them. You got to leave them in your house to go rotten. Yeah. And look, it's a very vibey thing, but I mean, look at the amount of people. I filmed this myself. I tell you what, it is one of the most uncomfortable situations to actually be in. So anyway, this is like the entrance to the flower market.
Imagine a stampede.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. If there is a stampede, man, there'll be a lot of fatalities. You know, we saw that thing that happened in South Korea recently, and this is the kind of situation where a stampede would just absolutely flatten everyone. Very vibey and jovial, but if you're claustrophobic and you don't like people bumping up against you and brushing against you and touching you, you will not like it at all, because you cannot avoid that. You're actually moved along by the crowd because there's so many people there. You know what I mean? Anyway, to bring it back to the whole population thing, I just want to sum it up for you. You got something to say?
You better believe you are gonna lose your wallet and phone if you're not careful.
I mean, sure, yeah, you got to be very careful. Here's the whole deal with what's going on with the population. It looks like China's been over-reporting its population for a very long time. But this is the way it works in China. When it comes to official figures, they're really, the best way to describe them is they are chabuduo, okay? It's just what's convenient to the time. They will report like, oh, we had a great GDP growth this year, because it makes it look like the economy's doing well. Oh, there's proof that I was there, by the way. That's me in this crowd. They'll be like, yeah, I know, I'm just saying, a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, yeah, whatever, you didn't take that. That's true, I did take it. Anyway, they'll report numbers that are convenient to them. Just look at the COVID death numbers that they release now. Okay, it was what, 30 or something? They're reporting 30, and you know, in the news you're seeing all these like funeral homes with lines outside and crematoriums just burning 24/7. So they were like, you know what, people, they're not going to buy this number of 35. So what sounds like kind of bad but not too bad? I know, let's say 60,000. You know. So then they released a number of 60,000. That's a bunch of BS, by the way. If you believe that, there's something wrong with you. There's definitely more than 60,000 died from COVID, or we should say died with COVID. It's probably a better way to say it. In China.
I'm about to be crematorium milk.
Okay, but quite seriously though, yeah, don't die with all these like sicknesses you have. Yeah. So anyway, back to the whole reason why it's a big deal that their population has been overreported. Okay, number one, why would you overreport your population? What's the point? I guess it gives you that status of being the world's largest population. So that, first of all, makes you very attractive to investors, makes you very attractive to companies that want to piece that market. They're like, oh, if we can sell our product in a country of 1.4 billion people, there's potentially that many customers, right? So you'll get a lot of interest of people trying to invest and trying to move into China, so to speak. There's that. It also puts forward this idea of stability. So, I mean, if you're going to set up a factory in China, with a population that size, you think, okay, it's going to be stable. There will be a stable labor force for my manufacturing for eternity, basically. Because with a population that size, we don't need to worry about them running out of, laborers to do the job. So that's another reason why they do that. Another reason they do it, of course, is for domestic propaganda.
China's the most safe, stable, or something.
That's correct, or something. Of course, for domestic propaganda, to be able to tell the local people, we have the largest population in the world, we're the strongest, we're the biggest, it's very effective. I know a lot of Chinese people take a lot of pride in the fact that they are the largest population in the world. And I know some people are very upset that they're not the biggest country, because when they find out that Russia, for instance, has more land area, they get upset. And here's the thing, though. It works very well. It also works very well for everything. When you've got the wrong numbers being put out there, it skews everything. Think about it. People will think, oh, China's got a massive military because they got 1.4 billion people. But if it's far less than that or less than that, then it's not true. You've been basing all of your predictions on fudged numbers. Okay, so for them to have the appearance of having a large population like this is actually beneficial to the Chinese government in the long run. But it's been speculated for a long time, and there have been leaks that China's been overcounting its population by hundreds of millions of people. And it's just come to light that for the first time they have officially reported that their population is shrinking. And it's had the lowest birth rate since, I think it's 1961 or something like that, before the Great Famines and all that nonsense. So, yeah, it's looking pretty bad. And the reason why it's bad is, without getting too much into this whole thing, so when you've got an aging population like this and not enough people having babies, you have a problem where you're going to get a lot of old people and not enough young people to not only be laborers and all that kind of thing, but to pay taxes and look after the older people. It's not a good situation. And so now what it's doing is it's painting China as not such a stable place. It's painting China as not a place that you want to invest and build a factory in, because in a couple of years' time, there may not be such a big labor pool to pull from, for instance. So when you look at it from that point of view, you understand why they've been overinflating their population numbers.
China's the least safe, most unstable, or something.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, look, guys, at the end of the day, this is a big crisis, and the Chinese government has been frantically trying to find a way to fix this. Okay, first of all, it's a crisis of their own making because of the one-child policy. That's why China's in this situation right now. But they tried to introduce a two-child policy, and nobody decided to take the bait. Like, no one. Do you know anyone that did it? That they were like told, oh, you can have 2 kids now, and they went and had 2 kids. No one. And that's because the one-child policy has built this kind of terrible, I don't know how to explain it, this economy around education. So because there's been one child, you've got this one precious commodity, this one child of yours, you will make sure that they have the competitive edge, okay? Because, you know, places in universities and so on and so forth are very well sought after. So what you'll do is you'll spend as much money as you can on their education. And I'm talking about not just going to school and so on, but on private tutoring, making sure they get piano lessons, making sure they get extra tutoring, all this kind of nonsense. So because of this, education has become incredibly expensive in China, especially extra education. So you have a tutor that comes and teaches maths. You have a tutor that comes and teaches something else. Let me just pause this. Hang on, I'll go back a little bit. I'll pause it somewhere in amongst this mess that I was stranded in for a while. Anyway, so in order to pay for your child's education, to give them that competitive edge, it's become incredibly expensive to raise a child in China. So it's not very appealing to have a second child because you can't afford it, you know?
Weirdly, after the one-child policy was lifted, people had less kids. It's too expensive now. You know how Japan stagnated?
Yep.
At least it got rich first. China is very poor in most areas and is stagnating. So you have a situation where people can't afford more than 1 kid anyway.
Yeah, absolutely right. So then they tried a 3-child policy. That also didn't work. Now they've pretty much said have as many kids as you want. And now they're trying to incentivize people to have children. And by doing things like, oh, you'll get longer maternity leave, or you'll get tax breaks, you'll be able to buy an apartment at a reduced cost, all this kind of nonsense. But it's not working. It's too late. All right. The people of our generation in China, they might have one kid, right? But having two is just completely off the table. So they've really screwed themselves hard. Now, there's a way to fix this, of course, and that is to allow immigration. So you can say, hey, look, we need young people to come in to join the workforce, to pay taxes and whatnot. Let's just allow people to immigrate and become Chinese. But that's a problem. The CCP will never allow that to happen. They're too ethnocentric. They're too, we are Chinese, you are other. They cannot allow outsiders to come in and become Chinese. They never will allow that, ever. So they can't fix the problem that way, like the United States does, for instance. The United States, oh, we got an aging population. Oh, well, that's fine. We'll just let people come in here from other countries that are of the right age, you know, that type of thing. That can't happen in China. In fact, Japan did that, didn't they? Are you saying something about that? Okay. Let's see. Let's see what you got to say, typing away fiercely over there.
Mark my words, Japan and Korea will be immigrant countries before China. Not to mention, who wants to go to China anyway?
I mean, you do have a point. You need to have an attractive place to go. And look, there definitely are countries where people would want to go to China. I mean, definitely, it's a step up from a lot of places. It absolutely is. But at the same time, you know, you got to make it attractive. And being belligerent and terrible to the outside world for years and years is not really a good way to go. So, I mean, look, that's basically the be-all and the end-all of this topic. We just wanted to bring it to your attention that, yes, China doesn't have 1.4 billion people. It's been over-reported, and it's going to start to shrink drastically. And India has taken over China's #1 spot in the world as the largest population. So probably see a lot of good things. It might be the largest safe, stable. And what was the rest of it? I can't remember the rest of that junk. Some made-up nonsense. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that's the be-all and the end-all of this, all right? And that's why China is lying about it, and it is a huge crisis. It's much bigger than most people realize, you know, because this really affects the stability of China going forward and the future of China, you know? Who's going to be there to pay for all this nonsense and to look after all the old people? That's the problem. No one. You know what I mean? It's awful. And with the gender imbalance, it's less likely that you're going to have more families anyway. 30 million surplus men. Yeah.
That's bigger than most countries.
Yeah, exactly. 30 million surplus men. They can't have a family. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's awful. Anyway, let's move on to a less depressing topic. Let's move on to Wumao Corner, shall we? Now, Wumao Corner is where we talk about the haters. And they can be haters of all kinds. We got some fun ones for you today. Well, sort of fun ones, I guess. Let's see. What do we got here, Sea Milk?
These are famous noodles that people in Taiwan love to import from China. What was China's response? Well, this brand had to remind Taiwanese people that they are Chinese. Can we keep propaganda out of food?
Yeah,
Don't you think that this will hurt sales?
Yeah, I wouldn't buy it because of this. So yeah, basically people bringing this into Taiwan from China because, hey, these are great. We love these noodles, these snail rice noodles. You know, luozifen, which are very popular in China, by the way. What is it? It's snail powder? It's snail powder, right? I mean, I'm still kind of a little iffy on that. I eat them, I know them, but snail powder, it's always been a little weird to me. Crayfish taste snail powder.
I was okay when they did this to snail rice noodles, but not the crayfish taste.
Anyway, crayfish taste snail rice noodles. Hey.
How do you have crayfish tasting snails?
Well, if you put snails in their food bowl, the crayfish will eat the snails and they'll be tasting. You know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Nonsense. So, of course, the Chinese...
You're a genius.
The Chinese government or the Chinese company decided, here's a great opportunity. Taiwanese people are buying our snacks. Let's put propaganda on it. Let's remind them that they're actually Chinese. Come on, guys. That's kind of shit. It's kind of a shitty move, you know. All right, what's next? What's this dude's name again? Schwab? Which Schwab is it?
I'm just working out.
He's just working out. Okay. Yep. You got a thing? All right. Okay. All right. Let's see what computer voice over here has to say.
Charles Schwab Corporation has been listing thematic stock lists, and I just love the irony of telling Americans to potentially invest in the Chinese internet. Let's invest in the country whose internet we cannot access blocks the rest of the world. Also, the government who wants to destroy the USA.
Yeah. I mean, I have big issues with anybody who is telling people to invest in China right now. I think it's a bad idea because you're investing in a lie, is what you're doing. You're investing in a lie, and you're propping up a terrible government at the same time. And they lie and they do whatever they can in order to get your investment money, and then they use it to grow, and they're actually treating you as an enemy, and they're laughing at you all the way to the bank. It's not a good idea. Anyway, you know, investing in the Chinese internet, bad idea. Don't do it. Now this is interesting. Tell us about this. Isn't this supposed to be worldview, by the way? Oh, it's Wumao.
This is Chinese police on Douyin.
Douyin, which is TikTok. And there's this video that's been going around, and what does it say?
They're talking to Chinese abroad.
Okay, so let's take a look.
见透这位挺难吧？吃的不太习惯吧？
睡得不太安稳吧？
交通不太便利吧？
父母妻儿难检吧？
省电提醒吊单吧？赶快回来自首吧！
Yeah, okay, so I will read the translation for you there. What you're seeing here is a bunch of police officers all dressed up in uniform. One of them actually has a gun, okay, an assault rifle, and they're all staring at the camera, and they say, "It's kind of hard being on the run abroad, eh? Not used to the food, huh? Probably don't sleep soundly, huh? Kind of hard to get around, eh? Hard to see your parents and spouse, eh? Always living in fear, huh? Get back here and surrender." So this is a way of them to try and coerce Chinese people living abroad to come home. Chinese people that they've labeled as criminals. So, hey, I don't know, maybe you're just a dissident. Maybe you're a pro-democracy supporter. Maybe you're one of those people that were in the protests and you're on the run. Hey, maybe you embezzled money and ran away. Maybe you are a criminal. But this is what they're doing, is basically saying what?
Part of Operation Fox Hunt. Is this not the most dystopian thing you've ever seen? It's one thing to say, you can't hide from the law if you are a drug smuggler or a murderer, but you know they're addressing dissidents too. This is to scare anyone against the CCP as well.
Yeah, correct. It's kind of messed up, you know, for the police to go out there and basically say, and I love this, not used to the food, huh? It's always about this, woman 中国菜, you know, you're not going to be able to find it anywhere else. Dude, you can find grandma's Sichuan hot pot in America or abroad. There's such a huge Chinese diaspora. You will find your home cooking there anyway. So they could delete that whole line off of their list, I think. You know? And sleep soundly? I don't know. Are you going to sleep soundly in a Chinese jail? You know? Anyway. Oh, you got something to say about this? This is awkward, guys. I know. Thanks for sticking through with this nonsense. We'll be back to normal next week if your voice fixes itself.
If I was a Chinese dissident or criminal abroad, I will certainly sleep better abroad than listening to jackhammers and renovation.
This is true.
见透这位挺难吧？
Anyway.
吃的不太习惯吧？
睡得不太安稳吧？
交通不太便利吧？
父母妻儿难检吧？
省电提醒吊单吧？赶快回来自首吧！
Yeah, anyway. Now, here we have another headline that says, China proposes UN treaty criminalizes dissemination of false information. Okay. Just because they do it. But they're proposing this to the UN, right? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. So what would your take on this be? Because, I mean, for those of you who don't know, in China, they have this thing that's called spreading rumors and picking quarrels. It's actually a law, and you can be arrested for spreading rumors and picking quarrels. So if you say, hey, I don't know, the policeman did this, and even if he did do it, they can say, no, it's not true. You were spreading rumors and picking quarrels, and they can arrest you and put you in jail. And they use this very often to just arrest people they don't like. You know, if somebody who's having an argument with them. It's a terrible law. Now, I guess they're trying to propose that this gets put through the UN so that they can use it against dissidents abroad.
This is the most hypocritical thing I have seen all year. They want the UN to make it illegal worldwide to say anything bad against China and other authoritarian powers. That's all this is.
Correct. Agreed. All right, so let's take a look. Now, this is hilarious. This just happened before the show, by the way. Hua Chunying, you know, which is the Chinese government spokesperson. Okay, she's the foreign spokesperson. She's out there. She's the one every day going on about how bad the US is and how good China is. She shared a video. It says, the day-to-day life in the old town of Xinjiang's Kashgar, which features the world's largest earthen architectural complex. Okay, I sped it up so you don't have to sit through this too badly, but it's a typical dancing Uyghurs, everyone's happy, the minorities aren't being oppressed kind of video, okay? And you see a bunch of Uyghurs jumping around dancing in ethnic clothing, which is what you see with all state media when it comes to Xinjiang. Because apparently Uyghurs, all they do is wear funny clothing and dance, because as far as the Chinese state is concerned, that's their role. So I pointed out to her that they always use the same bearded guy. Every time they do Xinjiang genocide denial and they do this Kashgar thing, they're always using the same guy. So if you take a look here, I said, why do you guys always use the same old man in your Xinjiang propaganda? Surely there's more than one bearded ethnic man in Kashgar. Or maybe he's the only one you haven't forced to shave. And you know what? After saying that, I kind of starting to believe that myself, because he is the only one with a beard. And if you look at all the propaganda, there's no other Xinjiang Uyghur with a beard, because they did force them to shave their beards, right? Yeah, at the camps. So I mean, if you look at the video, anyway, even funnier. Oh yeah, I just wanted to show you that this guy appears in all the CCP shill fluff videos as well, because part of the Xinjiang genocide tour. Oh, it's very velvety, yes. Velvety beard. Whenever they go on these Xinjiang genocide denial tours, there he is in what was her name again? Nico, I think, this one? Anne. Sorry, that's another one. My mistake. She's probably been there too, though. Yeah, another one. Yeah, it's hard to tell. You know, we all look the same. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, this guy appears in all of the shill videos, as well as state media videos about Xinjiang being all peaceful and happy and people dancing. He's always in them. And then I went back and I watched her video that she posted again. It's not his fault, by the way. No, it's not his fault that he appears. He's probably, like, forced to. And the video that she shared, this guy appears no less, in fact more if you look in the background, but 3 times in that exact video. So that one video they showed, look, he's 3 times in 3 different costumes. Okay? I literally think he's the only man with a beard, the only ethnic Uyghur with a beard. And that's allowed to appear. Let's go back, because if you look at, okay, let's look at this video that she posted again, and we'll just quickly browse through it. Okay, look, you got some ethnic Uyghurs here, and they're like playing instruments. They're either playing instruments or dancing, one of the two, or making food, I guess. Let's go back. Let's look. Every single man that appears is clean shaven. One dude has a mustache. That's it. Mustache, or whatever you say. Okay? None of the others have beards, except for this one old man. And he keeps getting featured. There he is doing a little twirl. And then there he is at the end of this clip. That one man was used 3 times in this one propaganda clip, and he's been used in every state media propaganda about Xinjiang when Kashgar is involved. Isn't it pathetic? It's lazy. I know. How about having more than one bearded Uyghur? They only have one. And they're like, oh, we need the bearded Uyghur, drag him out. You know,
no genocide here.
Yeah, this poor guy is probably just like sitting there trying to drink tea or something, and they're like, all right, bearded Uyghur, come on. It's your time, like, crack the whip. You got to go dance with this new fresh batch of... Yeah, he's in a dungeon. And they're like, you have to dance with this new YouTuber that's coming here, this wanker who we've got on payroll. Come do a little twirl for us, you know? It's it's sad and pathetic that this poor guy keeps getting dragged out for these stupid, things over here. And yeah, you can see once again, sorry. Where did that go? My bad. Getting there. There we go. See? All in the same tweet. He appeared 3 times in that video. So anyway, keep a lookout for this guy. It's kind of a dog whistle. When you see this guy, you know you're watching some kind of genocide denial propaganda. And of course, the same could be said for many other actors because they keep using the same people over and over again. It's just that this guy's been used more than anyone else. So it's very easy to spot him. Yeah, he's the Darucci type, isn't he? Anyway, let's let's move forward. Now, super important thing that I want to discuss here, guys. Super, super, super important. Okay, pay attention. All you guys out there, okay? Now listen to me, okay? Now listen.
Please explain yourself. You're going to make that.
Okay, I'm emulating a CCP shill, okay? But quite seriously, though, this is incredibly important that everyone listens to this. We have to put this to bed right now. And this is the whole CCP versus CPC bullshit that's going on out there. Okay, so for those of you who might not know, the Chinese Communist Party has been referred to as the CCP by Western press and the Chinese press for decades, since its inception. The CCP this, CCP that. Yeah, exactly. Now, it can also be referred to as the CPC, the Communist Party of China, instead of the Chinese Communist Party. Means the same thing, right? Anyway, recently, and I'd say over the last 2 or 3 years, I'd say, there's this narrative that's been pushed that if you don't refer to it as the CPC, that you're somehow racist, right? Because it's officially the CPC and not the CCP, right? This is the narrative that's been going on for about 2 or 3 years now. And it's been annoying the hell out of me. And I figured out why, okay? It's very simple. Very, very simple. It's like a criminal changing his name or using an alias. So that when you get stopped by the cops and they're like, hey, what's your name? And you say, my name's Joe Dirt instead of like Joe Brown. They'll look up Joe Dirt and they won't see a criminal record. Look up Joe Brown, you get a shit ton of like criminal records. Because if you search CPC in Google, you're going to get all their official state media press releases and stuff.
I made a whole video about the change and how it happened.
Yeah, what's it called? You don't know? Oh, there we go. Yes, exactly. Anyway, it's good. Find it so that we can share it. The fact of the matter is, though, if you search CPC, like I said, you're only going to get official government crap that they've put out there, fluff pieces and what. If you search CCP, you're going to get decades worth of articles about the Chinese Communist Party, good and bad, but there's a lot of bad, there's a lot of criticism. So they're trying to wipe the slate clean. That's why they're doing this. That's the motivation behind it. But I wanted to show you that it's used all the time. People try to call me racist or insensitive or whatever by saying CCP because it's a way to try and shut you down and, like I said, wipe the slate clean. So I got a little annoyed with this the other day. Someone was, again, trying to pull this crap in order to divert away from an argument I was having or something I was saying. And so I went ahead and I searched on China, the Renmin Ribao, China Daily, which is the #1. Oh, is it not working? Oh, limit reached. You have to pay. Better find a different one, yeah. China Daily, Renmin Ribao, and also it's Renmin Wang is the online version of it. The China Daily itself, which is the #1 Chinese newspaper that's been running since 1949 or whenever before that even. It's the Communist Party's mouthpiece. It is the most official Chinese state media.
The video is called China is About to Attack.
Okay, that's what it's called. All right. Anyway, I went to go and search through the Renmin Ribao, and guess what? They are calling it the CCP. I have some examples up here on the screen, just to prove to you and everybody out there that 100% calling it the CCP is correct, and the Chinese government, official Chinese government newspaper calls it the CCP too, or at least used to before they got the direction to change it. In fact, these articles from 2016 all say CCP. And I guess it was probably around 2016, 2017 that they decided to flip the switch and say, let's make everyone feel as if they're racist if they say CCP. But let's take a look at this. For instance, this is an article about a man who was accused of organizing paid protests and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. I've circled a little area. It says, At the trial, Zhai admitted, I was in charge of building the protest, getting the public worked up and having passerbys to join. With more people on the street, conflicts between citizen and law enforcement were exacerbated. Our ultimate goal was to get international outsiders to intervene, overthrow the leadership of the CCP, and carry out revolution in China. Now, of course, this poor guy was just forced to say this crap and blame it on outside forces, whatever the hell. But look, CCP.
China has been calling it the CCP for literally decades. These gaslighting shill losers can't even read, apparently. The best thing is that many of these shills called it the CCP before too.
Yeah, that's true. The guys that are saying you're racist to call it CCP, if you look through their tweet history or their video history, they call it the CCP as well. Anyway, I have to bring this up to everybody's attention. Okay, here's another article about lifting people out of poverty. And it says the only option to salvage their blah, blah, blah property was moving them to better and conducive parts of the region. This was simple, according to the secretary of the CCP in the region, because no individual owns land in China. So that is, you can see from en.people.com, that's the People's Daily again. I'll show you one or two more just to drive the point home. Even here, okay? They're talking about the member of the Communist Party of China, okay? In the same article that they say CCP, Communist Party of China, CPC, CCP. It's interchangeable, right? Just so you all know. Here again, you could take a look. Says CCP. Something about some New Zealanders or something doing some or other like propaganda for the CCP. It's just in your face. There we go. Again, the CCP, Central Committee of this and that, in official Chinese state media, number one, top state media. So this is why I wanted to put this all to bed, okay? If somebody comes at you trying to say, oh, it's racist to say CCP, well then, obviously the Chinese government itself is racist, isn't it? To call itself CCP, well, it is. It absolutely is. But I mean, it's nonsense. This has to be just stopped now, right? I think we can all agree on that. It's just nonsense. It's the CCP. If you want to call it the CCP, you're not wrong. The Chinese government itself calls it the CCP. Now we know. Now those people that are saying, oh, CPC, crap, jog on. Off you go, on your bike. Yeah, anyway. What do we have next?
Guangzhou police preventing people from carrying flowers and holding a public vigil for the victims of the recent Guangzhou vehicle attack.
Ah, yes.
Do you know why? Because according to state media, it was just an accident, and they didn't want anyone to know that the guy who murdered everyone was related to a big government official.
True, true. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah. Oh, it's very long? Okay. Here's the thing, guys. Obviously, we're not going to show the footage, but it was a week ago. You can look it up. Horrendous. Okay, some guy drove his BMW SUV on the most crowded street in Tianhe. We've all been there. That is the most crowded street in Guangzhou. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So it's the most busiest, bustling street, huge amount of people walking over the road, and the guy rammed his BMW through a crosswalk while people were crossing, killed 5 people, injured, I think, 13. I mean, we're talking women, children, anyone, just indiscriminate. Rammed through them, killed them, got out of his car, threw 100 RMB notes all over the place and said, what are you going to do about it? My cousin's a CCP official or some crap like that. Okay? Totally lost his mind. Like I said, there are little to no mechanisms to deal with mental health in China. It's a complete mess. All right? And so things like this do happen. But, of course, it happens. It gains widespread attention. It was being shared everywhere. It got censored. It got shut down. And now you can't even put flowers to remember the victims. Imagine it was your wife or daughter or whatever that got run over by this maniac and killed. You're not allowed to put flowers down. Because by putting flowers down, it shows that something happened. This is the problem. Like anyone who's worried about government control, anyone who's got any kind of tinfoil hat theories about the US CIA putting I don't know, microchips in your breakfast cereal or whatever. This is what you have to worry about. This is government control. You cannot mourn the death of your own relatives. And it's the same with all these COVID deaths as well. Yeah, remember the big tunnel where everyone died in that flood? And countless people died. We still don't know. And they tried to put flowers down. They put barricades around the flowers and stuff. It's awful. Okay, that is government control. Okay, sure. Anyway, you get the idea. You can't put down flowers. You can't remember the victims. Get out of here. Otherwise, we'll arrest you type thing. See, more and more police come, and they prevent it. It's bloody awful. Okay. You weren't kidding about that being long. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So now I guess it's worldview time. Are we going to hit worldview? Finally, we get to hit worldview, where we talk about everything in the world, specifically with regards to China. Or at least this week, I'll talk about everything. And you'll type something. Okay, cool. You want to run it now? Okay. Nice. Everyone gets to hear the copy sound. And I'm sure they were looking forward to that. Okay, give me a second. Whoops, I think I just messed it up. I'll start that over again. 1 second. I mean, you guys are probably guessing what's coming if you've been hearing the whispers of...
I'm just working out.
Exactly. We have a little show that happens every Monday. It's a private little VIP show. Do you think your voice will be fixed by then? You think so? Probably? Maybe? Okay. Either way, Monday we have a little thing. I'll show you what you missed last week quickly. Okay, let's do it.
This is Ho time.
No reason for anyone to ever see this. Ever.
Never. Right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, baby. So sweet to you, little baby.
It's useful.
It's useful.
Huh? My gosh.
Yeah, so we did a lot on Monday. We did a couple more of those Lianhua Qingwen capsule things because there's so many of them. So we did a couple more. We'll probably bring those into the show eventually. We'll do a big mega compilation of them because there's so many. Basically found all of their adverts and all of their videos that they've ever produced. And there's some crazy stuff because, they make adverts for Kuwait and they make adverts for Ukraine and everywhere around the world. They've basically been trying to get this Lianhua Qingwen junk all over the place. So it was a lot of fun. Join us if you have the means. We'd love to see you there on our Monday show. Head over to patreon.com/ADV podcasts. And if you can, join the Shaban Ho tier. And that's
Join us every Monday. It's frickin' amazing. You can watch every previous episode if you join our Patreon at the Shaban Hu tier.
What is a Shaban Hu?
It's the best way to support us as well. We show you the stuff that's too hot for YouTube, if that makes sense. It's an entire show.
Why did you become a woman all of a sudden? Just checking. Oh, okay, never mind. I guess there's no answer to that. Oh, there is? Okay. Well, is it coming?
I have a cold.
Okay. All right, guys. So now we actually have to get into worldview. So what's going on in worldview is kind of sad. Let's start out with this, and maybe you can explain it when it's happened. What's happening here? Okay, I'll just play it. There should have been some music here for some effect. Yeah, okay. Just saying, Oh, it's got copyright music. Okay. Here we go.
大家好，我是芷欣。现在我委托一些朋友，在我被失踪后，把这段视频公之于众。也就是说，当大家看到这段视频时，我已经被警察带走了，就像我的其他几位朋友一样。11月27日，在乌鲁木齐火灾发生之后， 我和几位朋友看到了北京亮马河悼念同胞的信息，我们怀着沉痛的心情加入了当晚在亮马河悼念的人群当中。但是在29日凌晨开始，警察陆续以传唤的名义带走了我们。我和我们一行中的几位朋友都在片区派出所待了24小时左右，并接受了警察的教育。警察认定我们无罪并予以释放。在我们以为事情已经结束的时候，12月18日，警察又陆续以刑事拘捕的名义将我的几位朋友悄无声息地带走。他们在拘捕令上被要求签名时，罪名栏是空白的。警方也拒绝告知他们的关押地点、时间和罪名。在我录下这段视频时，我们已经有4位朋友在不被通知的情况下被上门带走。袁静、杨柳、登登、思琪。如今我们的母亲不得不在一片混乱的疫情中为我们奔波。他们想知道我们究竟是为了什么被带走，以及被关押在什么地方。北京已经到了最冷的季节，马上就到了年关各种团聚的节日，但是我们的母亲如今想要给我们送一件御寒的衣服，也无法得知我们的下落。他们不知道我们为什么会被这样对待，他们也不知道我们何时才能回家。我猜如今我的母亲也正从南方的县城千里迢迢赶往北京询问我的下落。我如今26岁，刚毕业1年半，在一家出版社做编辑。我的朋友们也是和我相似的同龄人，我们有着自己的工作，我们关注这个社会，我们的同胞遇难时有合理的情绪想要表达，我们对失去生命的人充满同情，所以我们才去了现场。在这一场成千上万人参与的悼念活动中，在现场我们遵守秩序，没有和警察产生任何冲突的情况下，也在后来把我们定性为 frustrated student protest 之后，为什么还要悄无声息地带走我们？我们是谁不得不用来交差的任务？这一场报复是为了什么？为什么要用我们这些普通青年的人生作为代价？我们不想凭空被消失，我们想知道为什么是我们会被定罪，定罪我们的证据是什么？在没有罪证的前提下，为什么我们可以被这样轻易的带走？如果仅仅是因为我们出于同情去了悼念现场，那么这个社会还有多少可以容纳我们情绪的空间？希望大家救助我们，如果要给我们定罪，请拿出证据，不要让我们不清不楚的消失在这个世界上，不要让我们随意的被带走或者被定罪。
A protester is pleading to the world to not let them disappear. Do you know why? Because the Chinese government are disappearing anyone that participated in the protests in China. Media is silent. They are acting like the protests had no repercussions. Nope, it's just a silent Tiananmen Square massacre all over again, but no one is talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, look, seriously, for those of you who are listening, it's just an appeal. It's a video that she got her friends to release if she disappeared. And she just attended a protest, okay? So attending one of those protests, you know the protests we're talking about, after the people burned to death in the fire in Urumqi and people went out with the blank papers and so on to protest the fact that the lockdowns were actually just ridiculous and you know, people were dying and all this stuff. She attended one of those protests with her friends. They were then arrested afterwards. The police came to their homes and arrested them and took them away and kept them in the police station for 24 hours and obviously gave them re-education, as they call it, where they just sit there and, you know, talk about, or basically berate them and tell them why they were wrong, etc. And then they were let go, but then slowly but surely they were being arrested again and again and forced to sign the arrest warrant with a blank, without a reason. It was blank, but they force you to sign. You have no choice. The police bring you in. They're like, sign this or you're not, you know, going to be let go type thing. Anyway, her friends have disappeared without a trace, and now she's disappeared as well without a trace. It's really awful because this is the side of things that's just not being talked about, you know? A lot of people will think, as you said in your computer voice, that these riots or whatever were fairly successful, but they're not. The people that actually participated, whether they did anything, like she said, they obeyed the rules, they didn't cause any conflicts, they didn't attack the police, they didn't do anything like that, they just went to these protests and they were all rounded up. These people are being disappeared. And so here's the thing. You had a bunch of courageous people stand up for the first time ever, and they're being punished for it. All right? So you have to just remember this, that it wasn't a victory, and they didn't walk away and say, yes, we enacted change and we're proud that we're Chinese citizens that can make a difference. No, they were like so frustrated. They went out, did the protest, and now they're being punished for it and disappeared for it. It's not a good system at all. You know what I mean?
You don't need tanks when you have a full surveillance state. They will find every single one of the protesters. It's very convenient for the Chinese government. They don't need to look brutal, and can be completely brutal in the background after no one cares anymore. China got to have its cake and eat it too.
Yeah, well said, woman computer voice. Quite seriously though, it's despicable, it's terrible. And you do not understand what it feels like until you've lived in China and realize that when the police decide that they've got their eyes set on you, when some kind of official action's taken against you, there is nothing you can do. You do not have any rights. And this is something that a lot of Americans specifically that I ran into, and a lot of first worlders, I should say, that lived in China did not understand. They're so used to the idea of having rights, like any rights, that they just don't take into consideration how bad it can get. That's why people would do things like smoke weed and all that kind of stuff, because they're used to the idea of being able to. I remember one guy, an American guy, telling me, "Oh yeah, if the cops come try to search me, I just won't give them permission and they won't be able to." He's in China, because I was warning him about smoking weed in China. I was like, dude, it doesn't work that way, and it doesn't. That same guy actually ended up getting arrested. You know, when they did one of those bar raids and they force you to pee. And they actually stand there and watch you pee. That's another thing. They're like, in America or whatever, you can like, oh, I need a female officer or whatever if you're a girl. No, it doesn't matter. In China, they'll make you like piss in a cup. And they'll stand there and watch you. Like all of them. You don't have rights. You know? People, you cannot think of China, the Chinese government, in the same way you think of your own government. Okay? This poor girl and her colleagues and countless other people have been spirited away by the police. Now, who knows where they are, what's going to happen to them, and all because they stood up for what they believed in for one night. And this is also why so many people don't understand the risks dissidents take. When you've got a Chinese person that moves to another country and they speak out against the CCP, they're taking such a massive risk. You take it for granted if you're allowed to protest in your country, if you're allowed to speak up against the government in your country, especially America. Everybody rags on the government. Who doesn't criticize Biden or Trump or whatever? Everybody, oh, the Republicans this, oh, the Democrats that. It's part of culture in America to criticize the government, whether it's a specific individual in the government or a government party or the White House or whatever it is. People criticize. You can't do that in China. If you go out there and publicly criticize Xi Jinping or criticize the Communist Party of China, you will be disappeared. So you have to change your mindset and understand the massive risk any Chinese national takes whenever they speak out against the government. Just wanted to put that out there.
那么这个社会还有多少可以容纳我们情绪的空间？希望大家救助我们。如果要给我们定罪，请拿出证据。不要让我们不清不楚的消失在这个世界上，不要让我们随意的被带走或者被定罪。
It's right at the end. It's just if anyone speaks Chinese, they will be able to understand.
They even watch when you piss on the frog.
Oh, they do. Yes, they do. Actually, that's our audience. Just saying. Just saying. Okay, we got something else here in Worldview. What's this, by the... Oh, it's the same thing. Okay, I'll get past that. It's done. Yeah, okay. So, we got another little clip for you. I want to ask you, Seamilk, what would you do for a bag of rice? Like, if I'm like, hey, man, give you a free bag of rice, what would you do? Just ask it. What? In English? Yeah, just the top one there. Yeah, that one.
I would sit in the snow for hours in northern China until I got frostbite.
Okay, because that's what's happened here. So the local government, where was this, by the way? Northern China, okay. So it's for those of you who are not watching, it's freezing, it's snowing, okay? In northern China, it's bitterly cold. So you got a bunch of people sitting there. Now the local government was like, hey, we're going to, help out in these like cold times or whatever by giving out some rice and black oil, okay? If you come to this place.
The oil was rotten.
Yeah, I mean, it's black. You can see it there. It's in the picture. They're like, we're going to give this out. Yes, I wouldn't want to cook with that. Anyway, the thing is, they're like, come here to claim your free rice and oil. But what they did was they forced everyone who came there to sit and listen to like an hour and an hour plus monologue about how good the government is before they were allowed to take their rice.
Free food poisoning and frostbite. Come one, come all. Xi Jinping rules.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, if you take a look at it, you got people sitting in this freezing cold. I mean, isn't that just despicable? Force people to sit for hours listening, or at least an hour plus, listening to your monologue so you can give them a bag of rice. You know what I mean? It's pretty crappy. It's freaking snowing.
Gutter oil snow party.
Yeah, exactly. Gutter oil snow party. Anyway, that's the Chinese government for you. They're never going to give anything out for free. I was enjoying that monologue, okay? I want to hear about how good they are to the people, They have to tell you how good they are to you before giving you something, which is of a substandard. Anyway, I got another Daruchi sighting over here, this time in the Philippines. Wow. Daruchi's really making it far and wide, guys. It's kind of crazy. All right, so it's now time, guys, finally for our Yamcha, which is our Q&A section, where we answer your questions and you question our answers. And this is going to be tough this week, because, how are we going to do this? You're going to do it? Can you make it faster? Okay, all right. So you're going to, copy and paste everyone's questions into this, aren't you? Okay, and then I guess I'll be answering them.
Kevin N. Good work, lads. The footage you managed to dig up, just